Welcome back, everybody, to the Dusty Bender Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Chance Watson. With you, as always, Taylor Wells. Episode 112 coming at you today. And Taylor, it's we took a week off.
We did take a week off. I take full responsibility. This is the first one we missed in a while, though, so we can't be too, people can't be too upset.
That's true. And you know what? We're our own bosses, so
Yeah, damn it.
it's either a blessing in disguise or really bad for the show.
Yeah, you all want us to be for sure doing this every single week, then making, I need to be making a little bit more money than my day job. So
A little bit more.
yeah, just a couple bucks. So
hey, we're working on it, okay? That's we got sponsors. Hey, speaking of sponsors, folks, we want to get this right out of the way first. Shout out to the Third Line Hockey crew, specifically their Spokane tournament coming up here this weekend. Folks, Third Line Hockey is bringing the first ever draft style tournament to Spokane, Washington, and you're not gonna want to miss it. This is very different from your typical team tournament. So like something that you assemble your team and you head there. It all starts off with a Friday night party at, guys, you might have heard this before from us, the Hub Tavern out in Spokane, Washington on Monroe, which promises to be an epic in and itself. That's where teams will be chosen via beer chugging contests or non-alcoholic beverages for non-drinkers. On Saturday, everyone plays 3 games, then 2 more on Sunday, 5 games guaranteed. When it's over, you keep the entire uniform from top to bottom. And folks, these uniforms, I gotta say, are Third Line Hockey went all out on these guys. We've been sharing, check out our Facebook, and we'll even, you know what, I'll throw them on Twitter too, because I know we've got some Twitter followers that listen to the show. Folks, these Third Line draft jerseys are all Spokane history hockey inspired. So you've got, inspired jerseys from the Spokane Chiefs. I believe there was a team called the Flyers on there. And there's even one of the jerseys has a little maroon and yellow baked in there. Shout out to the old Inland Empire Warhorses. If you're curious, who are the Inland Empire Warhorses? Oh, you might have heard of a guy named, I don't know, Kyler Yamamoto.
Yeah.
Okay, he might have thrown on the Inland Empire Warhorse jersey, and myself did too. So absolutely super cool. These jerseys, these uniforms from top to bottom, jerseys, socks, all that shit. Absolutely fantastic. I can't stress how cool these jerseys are. Tournament is co-ed and open to all skill levels. Focuses on having fun, relaxing, and a relaxing weekend of hockey. Sign up. When you sign up, use code Spokane LOC. That's capital S POKANE capital LOC for $75 off your entry on that in the tournament. Dates are June 2nd to the 4th, so you still have a little time to sign up, folks. Only a couple days away, but they are needing players right now. They need goalies and players, so please jump on if you're in the Spokane area or in the surrounding area. Folks, this is proving to be an absolute Hey, there we go. There's the Spokane. Woohoo! Look at those jerseys. For those who are listening, we will throw these up on social media. But for those who are watching the show right now on YouTube, man, there's those Flyers ones. That maroon and yellow. That is Inland Empire Warhorses through and through. Love the. Ooh, look at those Jets ones. Those are nice. Man. Hell yeah. Those are some clean unis right there. So, folks, if you are wanting to have some fun over the weekend, drink some beer, have a great time playing some hockey with some great people, and walk away with an awesome fucking uniform.
Heck yeah.
Sign up for this tournament. Come into Spokane. That's Spokane LOC, SPOKANE LOC, capital S, capital L, for $75 off the entry fee. Dates are June 2nd and 4th. You can register at thirdlinehockey.com. That's the number 3 RD linehockey.com. Taylor, I've got plans this weekend. Otherwise, I'd be there.
Yeah, I'm going through a couple tryouts myself for like the Kraken and the Ducks. So
sure,
I'll be a little busy this weekend. But
tryouts for their stick boy.
Yeah, water boy.
Right.
Specifically, I'll be the glove guy, the guy that they just chuck their gloves at, their equipment manager.
Oh fuck. Yeah. No, I can't. I'm absolutely stoked for this. If my plans fall through at all, I'm definitely gonna hit up old Randy, who's
Heck yeah.
Randy's such a beauty. Um, hit him up and jump in on this tournament because it sounds like a great ass time and couldn't be happier. And of course, we did already mention our other sponsor in this show already, the Hub Tavern out in Spokane, Washington, the hockey bar in Spokane, part of the Anchor Alliance officially. And folks, this place is absolutely. I'm excited for the first time that I ever went out to the Hub was the Kraken draft party that they had. And
Mm.
that was an absolute blast. A lot of Kraken fans there, even before they had a fucking roster. And we were just having drinks, and I was immediately given shit for being a Red Wings fan. And I never wanted to go to any other bar anywhere else. It was love at first insult.
Got a couple relationships like that too. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. So yeah, folks, check out if you're in Spokane and you're wanting to just have a nice, inviting atmosphere, a cheap beer. By the way, it's a cash bar, so you don't have to spend your entire paycheck on a night of drinks. You can go in there, have a good time for a reasonable amount, and sit down and have a great conversation with some good, down to earth people because that's who the people who drink at the Hub Tavern are. Shout out to Dave, the owner of the fine establishment that it is. Just because he has poor taste in hockey teams does not mean he is a bad businessman or a good proprietor of his establishment. Dave's a Chicago Blackhawks fan. He is self-aware. He does know that they are going through a rough time at the moment.
Yeah, and that's what's important.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
It's not. It's not.
self-reflection.
It's not like Leafs fans sitting here going, "No, everything's fine."
Yeah,
Like
just get the
next
same coach. It'd be great.
Taylor, next year's the year.
It sure is. I get that feeling too. Definitely.
Yeah, for the Leafs are finally going to figure out. I feel like.
Yeah, no, it's it's almost a guarantee at this point.
I want this will be if we're jumping way ahead here, but if the so Dubis, we God, it's been 2 weeks. So I think the last we left you guys, we were making picks for the conference final.
Yeah.
All right, so we're through that. Quickly, we'll hit on so I'll backtrack. We'll get through our Kraken news real quick because there's not too much. It's been kind of radio silent since the Kraken were eliminated in Game 7 to Dallas.
Hmm.
They did have the post game interviews or the post series interviews, like locker cleanout days.
Right.
Had those great interviews. I think there's a little bit to cover in that and just kind of comment on. We did have our quote unquote big press release today. We're recording this Wednesday night, May 31st. So we'll cover that news and then we'll just quickly burn through that and go right into the meat and potatoes of what's going on in the league.
Sounds great.
Perfect. So first off, we were pretty hard on going through and reposting all the good comments and clips from all the guys on locker cleanout day, from everybody else. What's your take on just general thoughts and general vibes coming from the team after they're cleaning out their lockers, ending their season, kind of looking forward to next year?
I think a little part of everybody going through stuff is they definitely were happy with the way things went. I think there was a lot of people didn't think the Kraken were going to go anywhere. People were kind of writing them off, and they kind of rode that con, drive, right? They kind of
Yeah.
rode that wave all the way through to the end of the season. So to be able to play Colorado and Dallas the way that they did, I think they were proud of themselves. I'm sure they wanted to go a little further, but to be able to take those two teams to all the way to the brink, right? I think that's
Yeah.
and beat Colorado, obviously, right?
Yeah.
I think that was great. I think you see a lot of guys that are still kind of hungry, right? They know there's another step. They know, there's some guys like Yanni Gord, some of those guys that have been around and have a cup under their belts. Schwartzy, right? I think Schwartz has one as well. Just kind of have that same drive, right? Like, hey, we're not done here. We're just going to keep adding. We're going to keep improving to this team. And so I think that was definitely the vibe. There was good vibes. There was kind of you could tell it, especially with Beniers, right? Maddie for sure was kind of ready for the, you know, not happy that the season was over, but definitely kind of could take a breath. um, just having a full season, that's clearly more hockey than he's ever played in his life.
Right.
So yeah, I think overall it was just good vibes. I think this isn't a one and done, one hit wonder kind of team. Is kind of the overall vibe of the guys, right? I think they were kind of like, hey, we're just getting started, right?
Right.
We kind of opened our window a little earlier than maybe people thought, and we're here, right? So I think that's good stuff to hear, especially for a fan base, especially for a ton of picks in this draft, right? I think they have 3 in the second round, which it's a I don't know if it's necessarily that deep of a draft, but
Hmm.
definitely, you can find some diamonds in the rough in the second round. They've done it before, so just good vibes. Yeah, a lot of good
Yeah.
stuff.
I think that that's a perfect way to encapsulate it. There was definitely good vibes
Hmm.
coming out of those days. Uh, yeah, we retweeted a little bit. Yeah, I think we mentioned in the last episode, Jaden Schwartz was wearing an Idaho hat. I fucking love that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, that was some good stuff. No, I liked the vibes that came out of all of that. I think that everybody's kind of looking forward to next season. I think that it's not even one of those things of like, oh, if we just adjust a little bit. I think they genuinely think that that's a team that if they just get like obviously the team's going to change, but I think if it was up to them and money wasn't a factor, I think that team would probably try to run it back again. If it
Yeah,
was just a team ran by the players, I think that they would try to not change a single thing. I think they'd be happy with that squad and just do what they did best. And I think that was the vibe that was coming out of there. I think that was a solid push, especially the improvement that we saw from last year. I think that winning the Colorado series was huge, not only for just the team, but Grubauer's confidence.
100%.
I would like to say, as much as we've been hard on him because statistics show that he's not been performing. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a newly improved Philip Grubauer next year, especially if we see some upgrades on the defense.
Yeah, yeah,
So, do I expect Philip Grubauer to play like he did in the playoffs every night in an 82 game season? No, of course not. But I do feel like that he is going to he'll see the bulk of starts unless he's just absolutely playing like dog shit. He'll have a little nipping at his heels from either Drieger or Dackard,
hmm
whichever one kind of comes out of that. Is Coachella still in the AHL playoffs?
yeah, yeah. They were up 2-1 the last I looked.
Fuck, that's good news. I
Yeah,
mean, there's a lot of there even with the Kraken. I mean, the Kraken getting eliminated in Game 7 of the semifinals great is already a tremendous achievement. And then you've got the Coachella Valley Firebirds pushing for the AHL title, and then the Seattle Thunderbirds are looking at basically. I mean, they're the favorites to take the Memorial Cup right now.
yeah, yeah.
They're
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 in.
un, they're unstoppable. It seems like.
Yeah, I think they're playing in like the play in right now against Blazers.
Okay, yeah, it's like
Uh,
do not ask me the Memorial Cup rules. Like it's a very bizarre round robin tournament where some team always gets screwed over. I don't ask me how. I just basically I know that if you win all your games, you'll win a Memorial Cup. Let's put it that way.
yeah, So just jumping back to Coachella real quick, they are up 2-1. They won the first two, and then went back to Milwaukee and lost on Monday. So their next one is tomorrow, or I guess today if you're listening to this on
Yeah.
Thursday. So yep,
Cool.
yeah, it's good, just good to see.
It is. So
Keep guys in the
positive,
system.
positive things for Seattle hockey right now. Jumping ahead to the announcement today that came out, timing is everything. At 1 p.m. today, well, actually yesterday, the Kraken announced that they were going to hold a press conference. They were pretty vague about it. Everybody's like, "Oh shit, what could it be?" And then everybody, calmed down and started thinking, "Okay, this is an NHL team. This is the league. Normally, these aren't exciting. If it was a trade or something, would have already known it." So,
Hmm.
what could it possibly be? Could have only been a few things: jersey announcement, rink move, anything like that, structural stuff. And we weren't wrong. It comes out that old Big Dick Francis have signed an extension with the Kraken
Yeah.
for what, 3 years?
Yeah, through 26, 27 year
Okay. Okay.
season.
So
So
he's sticking around a little while. 3 years. Now, while I'm definitely familiar with, confidence to years ratio in a player's contract, if you sign him for a year, it's, we need to, that's a prove it, or you're terrible and we just need you to fill a space for a year kind of thing. Um, for a coach, 3 years, is that a lot? Is that a little? Get, fill me in here.
I think it's pretty normal. I think, I mean, we don't
For a
get
GM rather.
for a GM. Yeah. Yeah. I know. I was just going to brush it off, like you said, GM.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's pretty normal. I mean, if we're thinking kind of back to Dubas, right? I think, specifically Dubas, I think he was maybe a 4-year contract. So I think kind of in that 3 to 5 year range.
Mhm.
It really depends where a team's at, right? So I think with Francis now, this contract is basically okay. You guys made the playoffs. You got 3 to basically get to the cup, right? I mean, that's
Sure.
kind of what they're giving him, and just saying, hey, you got a Shane Wright coming, you got Cartier down there, you got some of these guys that are getting close, right? I mean,
Mhm.
just based on Francis's drafts and things like that. So yeah, I think this is pretty normal. I wouldn't have been surprised to see him get a little bit more, but I think oh, oh fuck. It's along the same line that just came out of fucking nowhere. Uh, it's just a little guy too.
Mhm.
I think that's kind of the realm, right? I think it's more of like, okay, we're gonna have some young guys. We need to figure out how are you going to shape this team while these young guys are coming through. And I think that's kind of what this does. Is it basically says it's check in 3, technically 4 years, because he still has a year left, right?
Sure.
So he's you know got 4 years on that, or on this timeline. So yeah, I mean, did they need to make it this crazy fucking, oh god, they're gonna move the team, right? Like, obviously it wasn't that crazy, but it's like, fuck, man. I mean, I guess you got to do anything when you're out of the playoffs, but man, they set it up like it was just going to be this crazy fucking thing, and it's just what everyone would have probably expected. So
Yeah, you probably could have sent that press release off to Kraken PR Twitter, and that would have sufficed.
right,
But
yeah, send it at that moment, right?
maybe they
Like,
needed to stroke off, Francis's pride, and that's, what, it's a tremendous achievement.
yeah,
I think he look, as deep as the Kraken went in these playoffs. Am I going to sit here and think that he, sit here and oh, Francis did no wrong, he did everything right? I still, to my core, think that he should have made a move at the deadline. I'm not saying that he makes a Timo Meyer move or something like that,
right,
but with the prices that were going on and what we saw, would have Shane Gostisbehere helped us in the playoffs?
yeah, yeah,
It,
big
it,
time,
it wouldn't have hurt.
right,
It wouldn't have hurt. And I just don't believe that, if you're like Toronto, where you're basically reforming your bottom six, okay, yeah, I can see how that might mess up some chemistry. But if you're looking at it's just one or two plug and play guys, even if you threw Shane Gostisbehere on your bottom defensive pairing, that's a little more solid option than what you had. So I think that that's maybe my only critique. I'm definitely not going to say for a second that they did bad. Francis definitely deserves it, and I think 3 years. You made an excellent point. In 3 years, that should be enough time. 4 or 5 maybe, but in 3 years, we should see the results of this draft on the team.
hmm
Does that make sense?
yeah, and I
Like
think, yeah,
Francis
and
Francis put a lot of capital into saying, like, he put his nuts up and he's like, "Hey, this team's good enough. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to sacrifice the future." Okay, Ron, that's fair.
right,
And with the push to Game 7 in the second round, okay, you have bought yourself a lot of runway.
yeah,
Not going to argue. No, I think he's doing a great job and he definitely deserves the extension. I think that hmm I think that if we're in year 3, if we're in the 26-27 season, or was it 25-26?
Mhm.
Either one of those, whichever one it is. I'm bad at math. You're the math guy. Whichever one that we're in, if we're there and we're not seeing the turnaround, because he put a lot of stock into this draft. He's like, this is the deepest draft, blah, 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 blah. If we're not seeing any of those guys on this roster in 3 years, that might be a factor. Like, obviously he wins the cup or he makes it to the cup, that washes away everything.
Yeah.
I heard an argument. We'll get into that. Never mind. Getting off topic. But in any case, so final thoughts. Do you think that this is a good re-signing for a GM?
100%. I mean, I think we were a little weary, and you know, I'm sorry. There's this large group of people who like to just go, "Oh, we told you, right? We told you."
Oh
Anybody that
gosh.
had a different take, his expansion draft was not that good. It really wasn't that good,
No,
right?
no, it
I
wasn't.
think,
Look
yeah,
look at the original names. A lot of
right,
them aren't there anymore. Like, they
right,
didn't even get to
and that's
step on
by
the
design.
ice.
A little bit of that is by design, but
A little
I
bit.
mean, some of the main guys that he brought in, I mean, Giordano, right? I mean, some of those main guys, Lazan, I guess, is, you could kind of look. Um, shit, man,
Would I have
Vanacek is another
liked?
one,
I know that Drieger was supposed to be, I know that Drieger was the
hmm
original plan to back up Grubauer, so I get that. But like, we had Vitek Vanacek for a second,
right?
and that would have been nice to have.
Would have been
Um,
very nice,
I don't know, but the only I know this is a Red Wings homer kind of thing, but like Dennis Cholowski, he was drafted by the Red Wings. I don't even think he's playing anymore. I have no idea what Dennis Cholowski's up to
right?
nowadays.
So yeah,
So, but
I don't know.
there's plenty of those names from the original roster that just aren't on this team anymore.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is by design. I think they tried to go the Vegas route, even though they said that they weren't, and just take a ton of D to try to move to people,
Hmm.
which worked a little bit, right? I mean, they did get a pick out of Vanacek, so I mean, they're I can't say that the entire strategy for the expansion draft was bad because they did get a few picks out of these guys, right? I think, and
Hmm.
that's totally fine, right? I think to say that Ron Francis had a great expansion draft because the team made that extra step this year based on, honestly, his free agent and trades that he made in this season.
Hmm.
I think that's bullshit. So, saying
Yeah,
that the
I agree.
expansion draft, we told you guys he did good in the expansion draft. No, dude,
No,
I'm so sorry, but literally, like, the Bjorkstrand, the fucking Burakovsky for most of the season, right? Signing McCann, bringing Beniers in. That's all stuff that was.
those are not day one drafts.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I think, but I mean, things kind of came together. So right,
Yeah.
maybe him and his analytics team had a 3-year plan, right? And so then, I'm not gonna
Well,
sit here
he's
and
freely admitted that the team is taking a direction that he didn't plan. Like, this was supposed to be a grinder team
right,
that beat you, a boring grinder team that beat you with defense that was going to win games 1-0 and 2-1.
right,
Like, this was going to be a team with solid goaltending and solid defense, and we'll take goals where we can get them.
hmm
And it
it's the
laughably last
opposite,
season it's been the exact opposite. The
right?
offense has carried the load for quite a bit. The defense, I'll give a pass on, but while they haven't been necessarily strong on defense, they have popped up into the play and been a part of the offense. So
Sure,
it's kind of a wash on that. And the goaltending has just been Jekyll and Hyde. So I think I'm with you in the same boat. Overall, does he deserve a resign? Absolutely. Like,
definitely.
I would love to see what he's got, and he's been touting these young guys, and apparently that's Ron Francis's bread and butter is young guys and drafting.
Yep.
So let's see it. Let's see. I think that Matty Beniers' future is already solidified with this team, but you've got a lot of talent on the AHL squad. And then after this draft, but by that final year where we're sitting here having this conversation again about, oh, should we re-sign Ron Francis? Or if they haven't already done it. I mean, if they win the cup next year, the year after, then obviously he's getting re-signed,
Sure.
or an extension rather. But if we're sitting here in this final year asking if he needs to be re-signed or extended or whatever the hell, I think it's going to largely rely on how many guys from this year's draft are on the roster.
Yeah. And I think you're right, because a big part of his year that he had this year was staying pat at the trade deadline when you
Yep.
had, because he's looking at his second
That
round
was
picks
his
and
reason.
saying, yeah,
That was his
these
reason
are
for standing pat. He's like, this draft
exactly.
is so deep. Like that was his number one reason for not going. I mean, that's why we ended up getting Dickhead from San Jose.
Yeah, Magna.
Fuck. You think he has any future on this team?
No, I think he is signed through next year, though. I was kind of looking at contract stuff, and I believe he is signed through
Is he like
next
the
year.
he's like the seventh D maybe?
Yeah, let
I
me.
just especially if we upgrade in the offseason, which we could talk a little bit today about free agency.
Yeah,
In any case, I don't see, because this free agency is, as we mentioned in previous episodes, it's fairly shallow. There's not a lot out there, but you know what? It can't hurt to shop around, and it can't hurt to see. And there are a lot of teams rumored to be trying to make big moves. Like if look, this is a copycat league. All right, if one team does something right, teams have short memories. They're not going to be like, oh, Tampa won it back-to-back years a few years ago with, Patty Maroon, by putting Patty Maroon and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we talked about this last episode.
hmm
Um, Patty Maroon and whatnot. We forgot about this a little bit. No, 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 no. It's all, if the Florida won this year, Florida won because they made a blockbuster fucking trade. They traded stars for stars. So now we'll see more of that because it worked. Because it worked for them. It's obviously got to work for 90% of the league.
right.
That's just how NHL GMs work for some reason. Like they see a recipe for success and they're like, oh, let's just duplicate that. Let's just
Yeah,
do what they're doing and we'll go from there. So I wouldn't be like, if Florida wins, well, shit, at this point, everybody's already probably really impressed with Florida's makeup. But if they win the cup, I, I don't know, man.
everyone's gonna want a fast, big body guy who throws the weight around, battles in front of the net for goals,
Yep.
and nobody's gonna have one. It's just, we're gonna see the resurgence of Milan Lucic, and that's just, I don't know, man.
Milan Luka. Is he still in the
Uh,
fucking league?
I mean, he played for Canada, so
That fucking guy, he looks like he's gonna tie James Bond to a fucking chair.
he might, dude,
Dude,
with the
that guy,
hunch.
yeah, he
Yeah,
looks
it looks
like a
like
fucking.
Gru from.
He's like he could put in like aluminum foil on his teeth, like a grill, and he could be Jaws.
Yeah, could be. Maybe he is. I don't know.
I want somebody to anybody who's listening, I want to Photoshop that picture of him just like biting into that fucking Jaws with his metal teeth, just biting into that fucking metal rope that he
Yeah,
does and to kill James Bond. Yeah, that's what I want. He looks
yeah,
like
man.
Jaws. He looks like a Bond villain for sure.
Yeah,
A Bond henchman, not a
he,
Bond villain.
he definitely looks like Gru from Despicable Me, though. you know,
Oh shit.
the other one that I saw that was pretty funny on Twitter was Mark Stone looks like Lord Farquaad from Shrek. Did you
He
see that
does.
shit?
He does.
I was
That's fucking
dying, dude.
hilarious. That's so good.
Oh shit.
All right. Anything else on the Kraken?
Um, no, excited for the draft. I think we'll kind of, once the season's over, we get closer to the draft. We'll kind of dive in a little bit. Just kind
What's
of
our
who.
pick?
20th.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few. It's just, it ranges very very heavily. Once you kind of get past essentially the top 10 or so, this happens every year, right? Where it's just kind of whoever the person of the day thinks is going to go at 20th. Um, Personally, I think that, you're just kind of looking at some of the names in the Kraken prospect system. I think they probably need to go D, but they're for sure going to use one of those second round picks on a goalie. I would be very surprised if they did not, even though they just re-signed what's his name. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do there. But yeah, I mean the future's bright. I mean, Coachella, AHL is tough because a lot of those are kind of older guys and things like that. But I mean, getting some of these kids a winning culture. Cartier's back down there, right? It's
Yep.
just It's huge. It goes a long way. So yeah, future's bright.
Nope, I'm excited for the Kraken. I've heard some talk, the folks that only care about East Coast teams and don't think that they were a real team and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's
I've
fake.
heard that there are rumors of like, oh, this is this is a one shot wonder kind of thing, and then we're
Yeah,
gonna go back to being terrible next year. Uh, I just don't see that. And this is not even me being a homer. Like if this, we have been accosted by other Kraken fans for being too negative and hating our own team.
sure.
Look, we'll call it as we sees it, and I don't see the Kraken regressing next year. I think that they took a step forward. This is a strong squad. This wasn't a one hit wonder. It's not like Florida. Like if you were like Chance, will Florida make the playoffs next year? I have no idea. I don't
Sure.
know. It's fucking nuts. Like they're about to win the Stanley Cup, and I can't confidently say that the Florida Panthers would make the playoffs next season. So it could be anything. But in this particular case, I just don't. There's too much evidence to suggest that the Kraken are going to do okay and continue and just play off of what, especially with what we've got in the pipeline, any offseason moves, and any free agent signings. If Francis is interested in that, the as we mentioned before, the free agency pool is shallow enough to where you could probably get decent depth talent for an affordable rate.
Yeah, I mean, and they have some cap space to work with,
Yeah.
right? So even if the free agent class isn't the best we've ever seen, I agree. I think there's definitely some options in there, and then potentially just bringing up some guys from this Coachella they're going to make a run for it. I mean, they're up 2-1 in the conference finals already. So
Yep.
um, yeah, I agree. I think for me, it's just a numbers game, right? I
Yeah.
can name you four teams off the top of my head that are going to be shitty again next year. I can name you, you know, 3, 4 teams that the Kraken, they're probably going to be bubble teams again next year, and could potentially be worse for all we know,
Mhm.
right? So I mean, if you're just playing a numbers game, there's only I think they're only going to go up. So. Um, yeah, I
I
mean,
agree.
are they going to win a division with, you know, with a Vegas, with an Edmonton, with those kind of teams, or sorry, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I
But
do.
I don't know. I don't know if that's on the docket. If they just keep the exact same team that they have this year, but I mean, playoffs looks good. So
Oh, absolutely. I would
mm,
say the playoffs are confident.
mhm.
Especially, and it's not even necessarily almost we like to think ourselves as a pseudo numbers podcast where we like to dive into it but not get bogged down by it.
Sure.
Like if God, have you ever listened to Filipovich?
No, who the fuck is
Man,
that?
it's Dmitry Filipovich. It's the hockey PDO cast. It's if look, I don't even mind plugging them for free advertising because like if look, you want entertainment value, don't listen. It's for
Mm.
hard stats. Like it's very informative, but goddamn, it's dull.
I like that stuff on a specific topic or team or player,
Yep.
right? Like I get that, but I don't know if I could listen to more than 15 minutes of it.
No, no.
Yeah.
It's
I
too
get bored
much.
easy though too. That's probably a little bit of my ADHD.
Could be it. I liked them to sound informative, but also yeah, kind of like I don't know, like our show maybe, like where we mix a
Yeah, no,
good
yeah.
blend of funny and also informative. So I'd like to think people think that we know what we're talking about.
I mean, you're funny. I'm just kind of here for you to have someone besides a mirror to talk to.
Well, no, no. Wait, see, now that we got YouTube, people can see that we're both funny looking. So
Oh, yeah, there you go.
there we go. Yeah.
There you go. I went backwards hat today. That's now I have
Did
to
you go
I
backwards?
think I have to consciously think of what I'm gonna wear now.
I shit. I threw on the
You get the
reverse
Jago.
retro jersey.
Good for
It was
you.
sitting behind me. I was wearing just a gray Henley. I'm like, oh, that won't do. I got to throw something on. That's hockey.
Yeah, and
I almost threw on the U of I sweater.
the new ones you got at fucking bargain bin.
They're oh my god, they're not. They're like pseudo.
Nice. They
Yeah,
look
like I don't
sick
even know.
though.
I have no. They're probably bootleg. Like the university will probably sue Just Sports because of them.
Probably.
I have dude, that was the most random fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, why
Oh, I
are
love
these
Just
here?
Sports.
Fucking old Tommy Bear just probably made he bought like 500 of them. He's like, dude, I can't move these to
I gotta
save
get
my
rid of these.
life. I gotta find a chump. And some dude at Just Sports is just like, we got a U of I section. We'll take them. We can
So,
move them on there. On there, it started at like $120 and it's been scratched out like 4 times with X's down to $25 now.
hell yeah. Like 60 stickers on there. The jersey, the tag weighs more than the jersey.
It's been discounted so many times. Holy shit. Yeah.
Just in
That's
time for you to walk in, buddy.
for 25 whole dollars, you can look like Chance and Taylor
Hell
our
yeah.
senior year of college. Fuck. All
Oh,
right.
that's good shit.
Well, something that's can make you some money actually. Let's talk about DraftKings Sportsbook, Taylor.
Oh, we can do that.
Light the lamp during the hockey playoffs with DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can make a $5 bet and score $150 in bonus bets instantly. Pulling up DraftKings Sportsbook right now, the odds favorites to win the Stanley Cup are the Vegas Golden Knights at minus
Ooh,
125. It seems like
understandable.
yes, but it seems like sportsbooks are finally catching on because the gap minus 125 to the Florida Panthers plus 105. Not like you're not making too much money on betting the Florida Panthers right now.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that's not a huge game. Like they're the underdogs
Yeah.
right now, and you're basically just it's even money at the moment if you bet on the Florida Panthers, basically. So Vegas might be a little. They might finally be believing in the Florida Panthers.
Well, I think that's more of a fucking cop out from Vegas,
Sure,
but from the sports books. But
totally.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's definitely. I mean, there's yeah, like you're saying, there's even value in the fucking Knights,
You're right.
right?
Right,
You know who,
which is nuts. Like
which is
125.
crazy.
If you're confident in the Golden Knights, I'm not, but if you are confident in the Golden Knight, there's a lot of people are. There's a lot of people that think
Yeah,
that this is just going to be an absolute fucking. We can get into that in a second, but
sure.
yeah, there's definitely some value there. So jump onto the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up with code THPN. That's code THPN. New customers can make a $5 hockey playoff bet and score $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. See our show notes for offer details. And if you have a gambling problem, you should call 1-800-GAMBLER. All that info will be in our show notes. So if you have a problem with gambling, check out our show notes and you can find some help.
Yeah, it is a thing.
It
It
is
is a thing.
definitely is a thing, unless you're winning.
That's right.
That's
So just be
It's,
better at
it
it.
says it right here on the gambling problem
Mhm.
website. It says if you're losing, this is a problem. No, I'm just kidding. It's not. It doesn't say that. I don't think anyway.
Just
Probably not. If it does say that, it's a really bad resource. You went to
yeah,
the wrong website.
it's fake. Don't
It's
give them your social.
one 1-800-GAMBLER is ran by a just a degenerate gambler.
There's money on like if you will go through the step program or like when someone's gonna fall back into it. Yeah, that's good. That's
He's
a good.
I give him 3 months tops.
Give him 3 months. Plus 300. Anyone gonna take that? It's
Oh, I'll
juice.
fucking take that in a heartbeat.
Why is
What?
everyone that gambles from
Why in New York? I'm convinced that every New Yorker is just a degenerate gambler
seems fair.
or a Bostonian.
Yes.
Just
That
everybody
seems
they
fair.
gamble on each other. They just bet on each other. They just trade money.
Yeah.
That's your week to have it.
hmm
Fuck. Yeah, 1-800-GAMBLER is just it's just ran by degenerate gamblers.
Yeah.
I think I got a problem here. You think you got a problem? I got $500,000 on the ponies tonight.
I bet you $600 I got more of a problem than you do. Oh shit! It's not a joke, Chance.
It's not a joke, guys.
Real deal.
Gambling addiction is a serious issue, and if you genuinely do have it, please seek help. Not good to gamble away your life and lose a lot of money and I don't know. It's bet on teams like the Buffalo Sabres or something. That's sick.
Yeah. Yeah. Then, I mean, you should quit anyways.
Yeah, you should just hang them up.
Well, Chance, if you don't want to spend money on gambling, there is another thing that you can spend money on.
What's that?
Raycon headphones.
I've heard of these before.
Yeah.
Mm.
Our listeners have probably heard them as well. Let's face it, with coffee starting at $5, yes, even without any customizations, and our bank account somehow always depleting, we are officially entering a dupe session.
Yes.
Most products do the same thing but are priced differently solely based on the brand name. So a good duplicate or dupe is crucial for getting the highest quality at the best price. One dupe you definitely shouldn't sleep on: Raycon wireless earbuds. Raycon is a premium audio at the perfect price point so you can listen to what you want when you want without breaking the bank. For me, I'm personally I'm going through like some training and stuff. Obviously the job market is a bit of a nightmare right now, so just doing a little bit of YouTube watching and things like that for trying to brush up on my skills. So perfect for some earbuds. Just depends on a lot of the types of earbuds are just a lot nicer to. They don't mess up my hair. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm always trying to look good. Um,
What are you talking about? Always trying.
just always looking good.
Always looking just fantastic.
Yeah. Raycon's mission is to prove that you shouldn't have to pay an arm and a leg for quality sound and essential smart tech listening features. You can get a pair and a spare and still pay less than you would with some of those other more big name tech brands out there. Raycon knows that in this economy, every purchase needs to be perfect. They offer buy now, pay later options. Right now, you can pay as low as $18 at checkout. It's really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
They have an easy and free return guarantee. They offer 2 years of product protection insurance for just a few bucks. And they offer free domestic shipping and flat fee international shipping. They also have over 50,000 5-star reviews. And that's just something I like to go look at. Obviously, I mean, we look at it. What were we? We were looking at a tiny little burger place reviews the other day just to see
Mm-hmm.
if it was worth our time, right? So that's obviously something there. So some of the features that you can get with some of these Raycons: 3 customizable sound profiles, earbud tap functions, noise isolation, awareness mode, custom gel tips for the perfect, most comfortable in-ear fit. That is very important to me. Crystal clear quality, water and sweat resistant, and 8 hours of playtime are just a few of the things that you can get with the Raycon buds. Go to buyraycon.com/THPN, as in the Hockey Podcast Network, today to get 15% off your Raycon order. That's buyraycon.com/THPN to score 15% off. Buyraycon.com/THPN.
All right.
There you
Fuck
go.
yeah. Love it. All
Yep.
right. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show. Taylor, the Stanley Cup, the fabled Stanley Cup finals are here, coming up on Saturday. Few days removed. NHL scheduling is what it is. So we have quite a layover between the two. It also, Florida Panthers sweeping Carolina. Let's start with that. Florida sweeps Carolina in 4. That's what I got. That's deep
That's
sigh.
it. And on to the next conference.
Yeah. I think that it's you and I both said that Florida would win this series.
Sure.
We didn't think that they'd win it.
Oh, just an absolute cruising.
It's like it seemed like it wasn't a drubbing every time.
No, I mean, good games. I mean, for the most part, good games.
But you just sit there and you feel like Florida's going to win this hockey game.
Oh, every time.
And it's just it's almost like it's predetermined. Like you have the feeling of like, okay, how's Florida going to win?
Yeah, you're just the outcome of each game.
Right.
You just how is it going to get to that point?
If it's not this relentless, I sat and watched finally, especially game 4. I watched that from like beginning to end, and one of the things that impressed me most about Florida is their forecheck. Like,
Yeah,
you hit the red line, and you are seeing a Panthers jersey. Like, they just do not quit, and if you finally do get in the zone, shit, man, you and I have been kind of having a minor back and forth on who wins Conn Smythe if Florida takes it.
Mhm.
You know, do I agree with you that Bobrovsky's probably the favorite? Probably, most likely. He is playing out of his mind. What's his save percentage right now? I think it's
Still
950,
like
960.
960 or something.
950, 960. Like it's out.
Yeah,
It's unbelievable. Like
out
especially
of control.
in the modern day NHL, it's an unbelievable
It's
save
ridiculous.
percentage. And Bob stole at least, to be very conservative about it, Bob stole at least one of those games, if not two, if not three.
Right.
So I know it depends on who you're talking to. So Taylor, my question to you is: Carolina gets swept. Rob Brindamore comes out and says, like, people are going to look back on this and see it's a sweep, but his how he worded this was not great. He worded this poorly. Basically said it wasn't a sweep kind of thing, even though it was. I knew what he was trying to say. He was trying to say that we were not out of any of these games. We were up until the
Mhm.
last one. It just kind of happened that we lost 4 in a row. Did Florida win because they're just so much better than the Carolina Hurricanes, or did the Hurricanes just suck?
There was a couple games, I think it was 2 and 3 for me, that
Mhm.
Carolina looked uninterested. For sure,
Okay.
game 3, they look uninterested. Um, and I think a little bit of that is just frustration, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck do we need to do to beat this goalie?
Right.
Right? What the fuck do we need to do to beat this team that clearly has destiny and a Disney princess on their side? Right? Like it's crazy. Right. And so I think there's a little bit of that. I obviously know what Brenda Moore's trying to say
Herb
too.
Brooks is standing on the bench.
Yeah, her Brooks is there. There's just like the twinkle in everybody's eye, just this mysterious figure pops up and then dust falls. Like it's just there's just so many like
Fucking dude from Mr. Alaska comes out.
yeah. To me, that's what the Florida Panthers were, and so like I agree. I understand exactly what Brendan Moore's saying. I think it's funny for hockey Twitter to all kind of just give him a little bit of shit, right? Because I
Mhm.
mean, yes, you lost 4 games in a row, bro. Like it's clearly a sweep.
Which I don't
But
want to make fun of Rod Brindamore. I like Rod Brindamore.
no, I like Brendan Moore too. It's
Yeah.
just in his defense, right? Like they were all close games. I mean, they really were good games. I just it's hard to beat destiny, and you could tell as and Carolina battled back.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with them in the fourth game because they could have just given up, right? I think it was 2-rip, and it was just like here we fucking go. Like this
Yep.
team is just going to walk through them, and they made a game out of it. And I think this is the series that I watched. I have no desire to watch Vegas. I think I fucking hate Vegas. So, yeah. So this is the one I was just, but I think to that point, right? Like they were missing a few guys. I think even though Teravainen was back, I think he was definitely feeling some of those ill effects. I know I think he scored in game 4. Um, but yeah, Florida just has it all over the ice, and Freddie Anderson played outstanding the entire fucking series. He honestly, there was times where it could have been way worse, right? Even though Florida had less shots most games than Carolina did, Florida did a really good job of keeping those shots to the outside and obviously getting lucky with a few posts and then Bobrovsky's play. But
Right.
Freddie made some pretty nice fucking saves.
Freddie
Like
didn't play bad.
he
I
played
I'm
good. I mean,
I'm leaning into the side of like just Florida is it's like 90% destiny and 10% outplayed Carolina.
yeah,
Maybe that's
yeah,
okay, maybe it's like 80-20 or maybe even 70-30, but like it's Florida Carolina didn't play bad.
yeah. I didn't play
Like I'm sitting
terrible.
here going like they sure. Are we having a different conversation if they have everybody healthy? Like if Max Pacioretty's there and whatnot? Perhaps.
Well, I think that's where
Maybe.
a lot of their issues were is like the depth scoring definitely comes in, right?
Yeah.
Guys like Nekus and Kokniemi and those kind of guys are young as shit. Um, but yeah, I mean, having a Svechnikov, having even a Pacioretty that is half mass on a third line, right? I mean, it really does make a difference for a Carolina team that all year and the last few years we've been talking like they're just they're definitely geared more towards the back end, than kind of the front end. And Aho gave it his all. I mean, Aho was shooting the puck every chance he got. He obviously, couldn't quite square one away, but gosh, you need a little bit more of the star power than Carolina had against a goalie who just beat Boston, just beat Toronto, and was absolutely scorching on the way into your series, right? So
Hmm.
I just needed a little more help up front, and especially Carolina during the year was getting a lot of goal scoring from the back end, and shit, I mean, who was it? Pesci hit two posts in the same game from the back end. Like it's just, yeah, you could tell it was, and a little bit of that is Florida executing their game plan, getting guys to the outside. Bobrovsky being in the right position to where it hits the post instead of going in, right? Like there are
Yeah.
some things that play into that, but like it does feel like destiny. It feels like the Blues. It feels like the LA.
Yep.
It
It
feels
does.
like that stuff, right? So it's
They
pretty
didn't skate the river, did they? Just, just not Kurt Russell, Russell Crowe. Just
cool.
Russell Crowe comes out onto the bench, just in the middle of the third. They didn't skate the river, did they? And everybody, they don't even question it. They go, no.
Oh shit, I love that movie. I need to
Oh my god, I need to watch that movie again. I
go
have
back
not seen
through that,
Mystery
man.
Alaska in a hot second.
It's good shit.
It is. It's like watching Miracle again. Like the outcome, and you still fucking watch it every time.
Yeah, I just get pumped up. I'm just
Oh,
fucking yelling at my TV.
oh my god. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more on that. I think that to put a bow on that series, I just God, it's hard to sit here because we're the analytics guys. We're the ones that like to break things down and like say this is why Carolina did a lot right.
You did?
Florida just has goddamn hard work, determination, and magic on their side.
Yeah, Harry fucking Potter.
Yeah, like it's very hard to sit here and explain what Carolina did wrong. If like, Chance, what did Carolina do wrong to get swept? I, I'm kind of agreeing with Brindamore here. Like you play. I'd like to sit here and say you play that same game, 10 times, you'll win more often than not, and it just didn't. It's
I
just
mean,
hockey sometimes, man.
yeah, my big thing is like how deflating, and he even came out. I think him or some of the players came out and said it after losing that four overtime game one,
Yeah,
right? How deflating is that, right? Like,
sucks.
what do we got to do? I mean, they didn't even score an even strength goal on Bobrovsky in that game. Right, and so I just think mentally, and that's what I was saying. I think it was game three. I think they played game four like fuck this, dude. Like
Yeah.
just throw 120% because just throw my
So
body on the line because we just can't buy
maybe
one.
maybe that's the lesson here is that like I think Carolina played their game quite well. The
Yeah,
problem is that their game just wasn't the type of game that was going to beat the Florida Panthers. You have to adjust on the fly. When you've got a hot goalie, like I mean, it's not necessarily might level rules, but when you've got a hot goalie, what are your strategies to get him off his game? You park your fucking ass in front of him and he can't stop what he can't see.
right.
And I know that's basic hockey, like very basic hockey. But when moving the puck around and try to beat him on angles and whatnot just isn't working when he's just on his fucking game, it's all you can do. And I understand the hesitancy of it because that's what a lot of coaches stress, especially in play. It doesn't matter if you're in the NHL playoffs or not. Like we need to play our game. If we just play our game, we'll win. It doesn't always work like that, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I think Carolina played their game. I think they carried out a lot of what their game plan was, and it just wasn't. I don't know. I don't even want to say they got out coached specifically,
yeah.
even though they kind of did.
Paul, here's a fun graphic that they were showing during the series quite a bit. Paul Maurice coached
Yeah,
Rod Brindamore. That's fucking crazy, dude.
nuts, right?
That's crazy.
Jesus
Because
Christ.
Paul Maurice doesn't even look that old,
You think?
right?
No, he doesn't. You think Matty Kachuk is just like This guy's got to be the heart and soul of this fucking team.
Oh yeah, we talked about it a little bit when the trade happened. Like, you're basically giving up more offensive power for better two-way big body play
Yes.
in that trade, right? And so, not necessarily saying what's right or what's wrong, but man, he does a lot of things right. And if in the moment he determines that he needs to get a little feisty, him and Sam Bennett go gouge Smize out or get chopped in the sack by Burnsy, right? Like, there's just there it's just that. I mean, Paul Murray said gamer, right? But it's just that knowing what to do to win in the moment, and also being a clutch goal scorer. I mean, Matt Kachuk is. I've seen a lot of people be like, "Is he the best American-born player in the game right now?" And fuck, at this point in the season, fuck yeah, he is. Fuck yeah, he is. That's who you
Mm-hmm.
win championships with. I mean, clearly. It's just, I mean, how many Matthew Kachucks are there in the league? How many Matthew Kachucks are there in people's pipeline systems? How many Matthew Kachucks are there in the draft this year? There's not a ton, dude. It's he's just got the jam,
Yep.
and that's being a
Yep.
Kachuk. That's just what being a Kachuk
That whole
is.
family, man. That whole family's got the fucking. They got the stuff. They've got
Kiefer is sauced, bro.
that. I think that if the 500 hockey men take over in Toronto, I think they're just like, okay, how can we orchestrate to get every Kachuk on our team?
Pure jam. Yeah.
Just we need every player with heart and grit and the wanting to win
What was the
because
one? What was the new saying out of Toronto for what they were looking for in their GM? It was like the fire in his eyes or something. There was some new
fire
one.
in his eyes.
There was something
I
new
can't.
that
I
was
don't
like
know, but
that.
I see what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah,
and that's what they're coming to. They have no other answers in
right.
Toronto, so it's like, oh, Austin Matthews just doesn't want to win, and it's like, holy fuck, man.
Pretty sure that's not true.
I
Like,
that's look. We could sit here and it is Austin Matthews the game breaker that he's been hyped up to be in Toronto. No, I don't think so. But sitting here and saying that Austin Matthews doesn't want to win the Stanley Cup after
right,
being berated in Toronto for close to a decade, no, I don't think that's it.
right. So ridiculous, dude.
If anything, he wants to win it just to shut you fuckers up.
Right, to just shove it in your face.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
just to me. Oh, Toronto situation. We'll get into it,
We'll get
but
into that in a second.
yeah,
So
yeah,
Florida moves on to the Stanley Cup final. Let's move out west. Vegas takes on Dallas in I want to say a closer series, but was it really?
fuck. With Jamie Benn in the lineup, it was not a close series.
All right, so we're just diving right into that. So first off, I want to talk. So Vegas goes up 3-0 in the series. The
Yeah.
third win, very convincing, very embarrassing. Leads to we can skip games 1 and 2. They won them. They won them. They were good games, but game 3 is where things get interesting. Where Vegas walks into Dallas and just absolutely mops the floor with them. Trash is thrown on the ice. The team is dejected. It's like they broke the spirit of the Dallas Stars. Essentially, it
Hmm.
seemed like.
Hmm.
And this culminated because they scored like what 3 goals in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, because they got a 5 minute for the incident.
Yeah, so I think it was like it was 3 or 4 to nothing by the end of the first period.
Hmm.
In any case, Jamie Benn gets into it gets into it implies that Stone really was doing something. They collide. Stone hits the ice. This replay is online if you guys want to take a look. Stone hits the ice and Jamie Benn says he fell on him. But what actually happened was Jamie Benn saw Stone's head unprotected and cross-checked him in the face.
It's just a minor detail there.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. It couldn't have been so his cop. Okay, we'll get into that in a second. So let's apply the pull this up. apply the Dusty Bender, is it a suspension method. All right. So, number one, is it a penalty? And for those who do not know of our method here, when I say, is it a penalty, I don't mean, did they call something? I mean, was there a movement or action during the play that should have merited a penalty? So let's cue that up. Play it right now for us. Comes out of the zone. Stone contact right there. Okay. And God damn it. It's
too
so
easy.
hard. How the fuck could he sit here with a straight face at a press conference and say that he accidentally fell onto him? Right?
Little contact.
Oh,
Oh boy. There's almost a full second between when
yeah.
when the initial contact is made, Stone hits the ice, and then there's a full second where Jamie Benn loses his
Mm,
footing
mm.
and cross checks him in the fucking neck, dude.
And then uses his body to keep him up. Like,
Horrible.
oh, after I cross-checked you in the face, I kind of lost my balance a little bit. I'm going to use you to keep my balance. So fucking rough. So bad.
Beautiful.
So,
Beautiful.
this play happens. So, is it a penalty? I think we can all agree it is.
Yeah, it's pretty clearly a penalty.
Very clearly. All right. So, step one, is it a penalty? Yes, absolutely. Was there intent to injure?
Ooh, it's a tough one.
I'm going to say yes. And when I mean attempt, because I understand attempt to injure is a broad term. Like, did you mean to just give the guy a fucking, a stinger in the back of the leg, or were you actually trying to take his fucking head off? In this particular case, it's not like Jamie Benn gave him a nice cross check into the ribs, where you take his breath away for a second, he's got to get up, or give him a nice slash in the back of the leg where there's no padding and he's going to have a nice Charlie horse in the back of his leg. Stone goes down. Ben sees, observes, and processes the situation, says, oh, his face is wide open. Stone even sees it. If you watch the replay, Stone even recognizes what's happening and even puts his hand up to try to stop Jamie Benn from what he's about to do.
No, Daddy, no.
Stop. And Ben does it anyway. He's like, no, I'm gonna cross check him in the face. Now, does Ben? I think that's what was going through his mind. Is he sitting here going, I'm going to break his nose? I don't know, but
Right.
like when you cross check somebody directly in the face, you're going for knocking out chiclets, you're going for a broken orbital bone, you're going for a broken cheekbone, you're going for a broken nose, stitches at bare minimum. Like, you don't just cross check a dude during play. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's not one of those love taps or something like that where you're just trying to get a guy off his game, or maybe give him a little something to sting, a stinger. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. There was an attempt to injure on this play.
Yeah. The only reason I say that it's tough is like, there's some stuff that you look at and you're like, wow, he's trying to hack his fucking arm in half.
Sure.
Clearly he's trying to hurt this guy's arm. In this situation, and I agree with you, but I think to play a little bit of both sides here.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if necessarily his thought process is. I don't know if he knew what his thought process was. I think he just saw fucking red. And for some reason, 3 minutes into the fucking game, which is ridiculous in itself, but he just, kind of wanted to let Stone know that he was there. And in his mind, you know, falling quote unquote onto him and cross checking him was what Jamie Bet on Red Line was thinking. Right. So I think in that regard, it's a little tough to say like he was trying to break his fucking neck with a cross check, right?
Oh,
You know,
I'm not going to say that. That's
right.
not.
So but that's what I'm saying. Just playing devil's advocate, right? Like it's hard to make that discussion because like that's clearly I just don't see in that situation that's what's happening. But I think in the way that we look at it and the way that we think about it, yeah, he sure as shit. He was trying to show Stone we're down 2 games. I'm going to take you out of the fucking series by quote unquote falling on you after you, what, barely touch me on the way by as I chip a puck out of the zone. Like, that's just, to me,
Yeah.
where's the fucking red line? I don't even understand how you get to that point in your fucking mental that you're like, you motherfucker, how dare you
Sure.
barely
Sure.
touch me along the boards?
It's
I
so
don't get it, man.
maybe even this step could be opened up a little more to, was there intent to injure or was there malicious intent? And I think malicious intent is definitely here. Like, it, that's not for up to debate. I understand the argument that you're making of like, oh, I don't think he was trying to break his neck. No, I don't think he was trying to kill the guy by any means. I don't think that's the case. But when you target the head, and especially in this NHL nowadays, like targeting the head, it's pretty much the only thing that can get you like guaranteed a talk with player safety. If there's any sort of contact with the head, it is immediately reviewed. Do they get it right every time? Fuck no. Fuck no. Absolutely fucking not. But it's going to get you reviewed with the Department of Player Safety. And Jamie Benn, I loved the comments out there from Dallas fans, or even Peter DeBoer. DeBoer comes out and says like, "Oh, he doesn't have a history of this. Fuck off, he doesn't. This guy, no, he doesn't do it every game." But I know about a billion Okay, it's not a billion, not a billion people are Red Wings fans, but I know there are thousands of Red Wings fans out there that would disagree. There's like an entire Red Wings fervent fan base that fucking hates Jamie Benn with a passion because of what he did to Larkin. Another cross check to the head. Now, he got Larkin in the back of the neck, and that was a little more rough. So, to your argument, you're saying, oh, did he mean to hurt him? Look, in this isolated incident, you can give him the benefit of the doubt. But if you look at Jamie Benn's career, people saying that, oh, no, he's not a repeat offender.
Sure.
Look, there's about 100,000 Red Wings fans out there that would like to disagree with you because Larkin missed most of a season because of a Jamie Benn cross check to the back of the neck. So I think there's an argument there. I think we can both agree, at least at bare minimum, definitely malicious intent.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Intent to injure, I'll concede that, okay, maybe he wasn't trying to like fucking kill the guy. All right. I know that's a very low bar, but
maybe
sure.
it was.
Right. Maybe he was trying to kill Mark Stone. I don't fucking know. With how he handled it like a fucking child after the game, perhaps.
And
He literally.
It's still a bad fucking take on why it happened.
Oh my God.
Just
No,
don't
no,
KO Makar.
He wouldn't even talk to people after the game.
Yeah.
He stormed off like a child to his Range Rover or whatever the fuck he has parked in the parking lot and went and cried in it for a little bit, or, punched the steering wheel or whatever the fuck he does.
He's a Mercedes guy, isn't he?
Yeah, it's gotta be. It's gotta be one of those like African safari Mercedes ones.
Actually,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Or like a fucking as much as I like the old ones, like a fucking Ford Mustang driver,
Oh no, that's not him. He's got one of it's like I remember the video, like somebody was videotaping him getting into his car. It's like a boxy Mercedes. It looks like you would take it on an African safari.
Oh yeah, those ones, those fucking loser vans. Yeah.
So he wouldn't even talk to the media the next day. And then the best he had 24, maybe even if memory serves, he might even have 48 hours to talk to people that get paid to tell him what to do in the situation. And the best he can come up with is, it's a really tragic situation. I wish his face wasn't there as I was falling.
Yeah.
Dude, fuck you.
Yeah,
fuck off.
Ridiculous, dude.
It's really sad that your face was there when I was coming down with my full weight with both my hands on my stick. That's rough. It's really rough.
To me, it was Mark Stone's fault that.
You know what? It is.
Yeah.
Why would he put his head right there?
It's just being a bad hockey player, if you ask me.
Putting your hand up to defend yourself, that just makes him want to do it more, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can't. I would come down harder on him then.
So, Jamie Benn gets a 2-game suspension, rightfully so, in my opinion. With his, I don't know. As a Red Wings fan, rehabilitated Red Wings fan. I would say that he probably deserved more based on his history and him injuring somebody before. 2 games is fine. That equates to roughly 4 games regular season. So fine. And the Dallas Stars seem to be completely okay without Jamie Benn.
They just didn't miss a beat.
They come out and rattle off 2 wins, making Vegas fans sweat a little bit because Vegas has had 3-1 series leads in the last like 3 times they were in the playoffs and have lost them all.
Mm.
I think it was I saw the graphic, like, so it was 3-1.
San Jose.
Yeah,
San
like
Jose.
it's like 3 of the 4 years they've made the playoffs, they've lost, they've blown 3-0 or 3-1 leads. So I think, Vegas fans are having a little bit of PTSD there, thinking, oh shit, here we go again. That wasn't the case because Jamie Benn comes back in the lineup in game 6 and Vegas absolutely stomps
It was a
the
dusting.
shit. It was they should have just gave up after the
I turned
first
it off.
period.
I turned it off after. Well, I think I texted you after the
Yeah.
third or fourth goal, and I was just like, "Yeah, this is it. Like, I'm gonna go watch my other show because this is fucking
We all knew it
over."
was over. Everyone knew it was over. Vegas knew it was over. Dallas gave up. Dallas
So
just gave
bad.
up.
I
Like,
mean, shit, man. That's hard to. It's hard to be even a good team.
yep.
You clearly didn't fucking show up.
Sure. It was,
You know,
and to be fair, the final score is 6-0, but I think 2 of those were empty netters. So but 4-0 still, like, and it wasn't close, folks.
it
Like, if
wasn't
you didn't
close.
watch
It
this
was
game, you didn't
struggle
miss anything. You missed a team just absolutely dust somebody in the first period and then sit on the lead.
in their own barn.
Yeah. It was
Oh,
really
fuck.
embarrassing.
And
Dallas
that just tells me he's not a good captain, man.
no. Oh, I would the fact that they won 2 games without him. He comes back in the lineup, and then like, it's not just a coincidence. And look, the guy's already on the 3rd line anyway. The
Yeah,
only reason he's still the Dallas management hasn't made any secrets of it. He's basically on the team still because of his contract. Like,
right.
they can't move the
Yeah, they're
guy.
not gonna move. There's no way they can move that.
No one wants to take his fucking ginormous what is give me stats man right now. What is Jimmy Benn's contract right now? How many years he got left for Dallas?
Here's my guess. I think I did see someone say he's got like 2 years left,
Okay.
and I want to put him close to 10 mil because they did bring up Sagan as well.
Okay.
Jamie Benn contract.
I just think
Cap
that
hit is 9.5.
oh fuck.
And yeah, so he's
He's
got
a
next year and
third
the year
line
after.
guy.
Yeah, 9.5.
He's a third line guy.
Wow, that's fucking brutal.
That's so bad. That's you got to get him off the books. Like, you got to do we see Jamie Benn in a fucking Coyotes jersey soon? Like, that's
Good
just
God.
rough.
No, honestly, I could see him in a Ducks jersey, and let me tell you why. They were having trouble hitting the fucking floor last year.
It's fair. It's
So a
fair.
team like that, I think, and maybe Chicago, right? Like maybe that's
Chicago,
but
maybe. Yeah,
that's
that
the
serves out
thing.
his career. I just
You see
if
you see this guy in the playoffs this year, right? And in a
does he
conference
have a no
final.
move? I bet he has a no move.
Hey, let's do this. This is a cool new feature.
Fuck, that's
Here
cool.
he is.
There
Look
it
at this
is.
guy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love that.
I actually don't know if they say no movement clause on here.
Okay. And
Uh, yeah,
UFA, Dallas, back cat around. That doesn't say. Yeah, I don't see it.
yeah.
Anyway, in any case, if he does have a no move, like, he knows that he can't go anywhere. Like, he'll want to stay in Dallas as long as he's going to milk that contract for all he's worth. A, because he's an asshole, and B, because he knows that if he goes to any other squad, he is 4th line grinder.
Well, I mean, even if you are Chicago or the Ducks or the Sharks, do you even want this guy around the young players?
No.
Like, I mean, he hasn't shown us anything besides maybe having a renaissance regular season, and he played okay in the first couple of rounds, but man, that's just behavior that is going to get you out of the league really fucking
Oh, it
quickly.
was
That's just
even
ridiculous.
with the 2 wins, like that, like how everything played out, like after the Jamie Benn cross check and he gets kicked and they just get their asses whooped in game 3, you're like, oh, that's it. They're done.
Mhm.
they win the next two, and yeah, that's great. But the fact that they did it and then lost again when he comes back, like
Yeah.
that just, to me, that puts the nail in the fucking coffin. Like, are we looking at a buyout here?
I don't know.
I know that that's, you just don't see it with these types of players. But fuck, man, like if I'm Dallas, you've got a team here. Pavelski's only got 1 or 2 more years. There's no way he can keep doing this. You've got
I don't think they buy him out next year. I think you see a lot of teams do it with like 1 year remaining on these big contracts.
okay.
So like you
I
think
just
back to Suter and Parise.
yeah, but by the time that he's ready to buy out in his last year, Pavelski's gone. I mean,
Yeah, which is
you think
sad.
Joe Pavelski's going to be a first line guy at 40 years old? He's already what, 38, 39? Excuse me.
There you go. Another good question for the old
Another
my
cat friendly
guess is
question.
he's
Yeah,
37.
I think he's 38, or he'll be 38 next year.
He is already 38. Nice call.
Okay, all right.
July
So
11th, he will be 39.
So I mean,
Woof.
he impressed. He impressed in this
Oh,
season,
fuck yeah, he did. He
and
played
he
so
impressed in
good.
these playoffs. He's definitely. I think he can. Can he play to 40? I don't doubt it for a second. He can
No,
definitely
me
play to
either.
40 and still be a valuable member of a team, even in like a Yager capacity where he's just out on the power play.
Sure.
That guy is a tipping machine. I would want him in front. I would want him on bumper on every single one of my power plays.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
But you've got guys that you're gonna. I mean, you need to make this team better, and you're not going to do it with Jamie Benn. And he's
No.
eating up a lot of cap space.
And I've heard a lot of hatred towards Sagan. I know he didn't have any. I don't think he had any points in the Vegas series, which is
Oh,
big. The
I
team
just,
didn't play that good.
I
I,
nothing him.
yeah, he just for his contract. Yes, I think you
Yeah.
probably would be a
Oh,
buyout candidate, but I mean, he was at least noticeable for quite a bit of the playoffs. I think he did play pretty well just from some of the games I was watching, but
eh,
on that price point, no, he can't have 0 points in the Vegas series.
no, it's since Jamie Benn's such a dislikable individual, he's obviously the top. I'm not a huge fan of Sagan either. They both seem like guys that care more about themselves than the team. They don't buy into the hockey culture. Blah 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 blah. I just don't. I don't know. They're overpaid for third, fourth line guys, and that's what they are at this point.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. Jamie Benn's not going to have a renaissance. I will fucking call it right here and now.
Yeah, I mean he did this year, but not in the playoffs.
No, well, not when it mattered. And
Yeah.
great, that's awesome. Can you do it again next year?
No.
There's a difference between a renaissance and then 1 year.
Well, you could ask the same question about Eric Carlson next year.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
You know,
I'm not doubting that for a second. Wait, shit, we can say that about Sergei Bobrovsky, and
Sure.
so that's a perfect segue. So Vegas takes the series handedly, in my
Sure.
opinion.
Sure.
Moving on, we've got Vegas and Florida meeting in the Stanley Cup final, as we all predicted. And actually, so it's funny. My dad's bracket, he had Seattle and Florida.
No shit.
And he had Seattle beating Vegas in the conference final. So he wasn't
He
too
got
far
close.
off.
He wasn't far off.
He wasn't too
That's
far off.
pretty
And
good.
he has Florida winning the cup. So
Damn.
he might be like the only person outside of Miami that did that.
Attaboy, Pops.
Yeah, oh yeah. Guy knows his hockey. He watches
Yeah.
quite a bit of games. So Florida versus Vegas here. This is once again we are faced with logic versus destiny.
Sure.
We're sitting here going, yeah, Vegas is gonna win this. Like every statistic, not every statistic, all the smart, the Corsi and all that shit. Like Vegas is deeper, and Aiden Hill is playing great right now, and you've got the pedigree on this team, and the Misfits have something to prove because Marchessault, a lot of great storylines in this series, by the way. So many great Marchessault and Riley,
Gerard Gallant for both.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
fucking crazy.
Yeah. So Marchessault and Riley coming, revenge tour for Florida for kicking them out. So they're happy about that. Man, and then the storyline of Reinhardt and Eichel.
Eichel, yeah, riding the tandem bike.
Right.
I see
So
that video.
So both of them Buffalo Sabres picks, and now both in the Stanley Cup final on different teams.
Yeah.
So a lot of cool storylines here with these two teams going head to head. Look, the odds favorites, Vegas. We just talked about DraftKings. DraftKings got Vegas as the mild favorites in this series. I think based on how Vegas is played and the makeup of their team, the, if we were looking at this without any bias toward the playoffs, I would say Vegas is like Boston light.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're basically a formula of Boston, just on paper not as good, and Florida beat Boston. So
Yeah.
it's the heart versus logic here, where you just want to be like, well, fuck, Florida's a team of destiny, and facts don't matter here.
To me, I just can't. I can't bring myself to pick Vegas, dude. I just cannot. Like this could be the most lopsided Vegas
So
battle ever, and I'm
it's funny
gonna
you're saying
pick the
that.
other team.
I'm going to leave this for you right here to take, but I genuinely believe, before I make my pick and we do our analysis, I think this is going to be lopsided one way or the other.
Sure,
I
I can
think
see
this
that.
series, and I'm more confident about the number than I am the team. I think this ends in 5.
That's not bad.
I think it ends in
It's not
5.
bad.
I don't know. I think as we have our conversation right now, I'll pick which team, but I think this ends in 5.
Hmm. I'll go 6 just to say I did.
Okay. I mean, that's a safe number.
Yeah.
I think that I'm leaning towards 4 or 5 more.
Yeah.
5 probably, 4 possibly.
Yeah.
But I just don't know who I think it's going to happen, because I just don't think that it's going to be a situation. Well, maybe because, Florida and Boston went to 7, so maybe I'm wrong. But I'm just confident that whoever comes out strong in this series is just going to fucking walk it.
Yeah.
Like Vegas is either going to come out there and the magic's finally going to wear off. This is the make or break moment for Florida, right? Like, are they the Kings in St. Louis, or are they Montreal,
Mm-hmm.
where they've got to the cup final and the magic just ran out? Like, there's just
Yeah.
no more left in the tank. We're out of miracles,
Yeah. The miracle
is
juice is gone.
right. It's all out, and the actual better team is going to win here.
I
Is
think.
that the
Yeah.
case?
I don't know. I
I
think
don't
for
know.
me, it's pick Vegas, but I do think it is going to be Vegas. I'm going to have to pick Florida because I can't bring
Right.
my
Yeah,
sane self to
it's
pick
not
Vegas.
logical. It's not
But
logical.
and the reason being, Sunrise is not a sure win for Florida. And they've shown it even in the playoffs, as they have been, very good in the last 2 series, and really since Bobrovsky came in the Boston series. Sunrise is not an instant win for the Panthers, and you really do
No.
need a good home record, right? I mean, you need to be winning your games at home, because you can't go back to Sunrise 0-2 and go, well, we're gonna, maybe we'll split this series in Sunrise. No, you need to go in there and feel the confidence that you're gonna win in Sunrise in order to make it a fucking, make it a series.
Sure.
So I think that's what scares me a little bit, and that has nothing to do with the matchups of the teams, anything like that. It's just a weird feeling about Sunrise itself.
Okay.
And not saying anything negative about the fans. I just think they if there's anywhere that they've been beatable, it is actually in Sunrise, which is interesting. Um, so yeah, I think I'm going to take Florida in 6.
Okay.
And my only thought process there is, I think they actually match up very well on paper.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I actually do think. I mean, I think Florida can go pretty deep. I think especially if Barkov missed a little bit in Carolina, right? I think he missed a third game.
Mhm.
Got hurt in the third game. That's a deep forward group, right? They go
So is
pretty deep.
Vegas, though.
Lusterreinen is actually a pretty good fucking player. They
Yeah.
get Lundell. I mean, they got some of those younger guys, but they're pretty deep. And then the back end actually is surprisingly good. I mean, if you start going matchup to matchup, obviously Gudis and Stahl are some of their weak links back there. But those two guys really haven't played bad hockey, right? To where, if you're kind of looking on the Vegas side of things, yes, they have the Petrangelos, the Theodores, the Alex Martinez, and things like that. They can go as far as White Cloud and things like that. So I think that, they match up pretty well in the back end. And not to say Vegas can't go deep in the forward group. I mean, they can, right?
They
Chandler
are.
fucking
I would
Chandler fucking
I would
Stevenson.
hope that you weren't arguing that point. They are
No,
deep. Like
no, they are deep. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I mean, Chandler Stevenson is somebody who really shouldn't have any sort of fucking clout or name to his game, and he's having a,
how
he's playing great.
how dare
Right?
you?
So,
He's the reincarnation of Michael Grabner.
oh god,
Okay.
no, I
All
don't
right.
buy
He
it.
skates.
I don't
He
buy it.
skates. He skates so fast in a straight line. Okay.
Oh god,
That is very important.
good fuck, man.
As somebody who has legs and no hands. Okay.
Yeah, fucking Luis Mendoza. Good fuck. Yeah,
as
but
somebody as somebody who can skate fast and keep up with the play, but you just need to bounce pucks off of me because I have no hands whatsoever. Okay, I understand. Okay, Chandler Stevenson. Okay, Chandler Stevenson's great, and so, but that's how Stevenson. That's like his
right.
play, and he's had to adjust his play accordingly, obviously. But God, looking at that depth chart, I'm going to eventually agree with you here, but I am playing devil's advocate, and not only playing devil's advocate, but I mean, giving credit where credit is due. Vegas is good.
Oh,
Like
they're fucking good.
there's no like I mean, we've sung their praises all year. If when your decor is guys like Martinez and Shea Theodore and Petrangelo and Ryan McNabb, like Zach Whitecloud is your if your Zach Whitecloud is your third guy. Zach Whitecloud is good.
Mhm.
Like Zach Whitecloud is a good hockey player, a
Yeah.
solid
Yeah,
defenseman
he
that is
is.
reliable. And if he is your fifth, sixth defenseman, whew,
I'm feeling
like
pretty
you've got
good.
deep. Aiden Hill, I mean, I'll give you the reins on Aiden Hill. There's that guy. You could sing his praises all day. He played great for the Coyotes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if the Coyotes weren't in full Armstrong just wanting to tank mode, Aiden Hill is still their guy, right? But they and Vigil Mac or Menka or however the hell you say it hasn't. I mean, he came in this year and actually played some good hockey and has the last 2 years. But Aiden Hill has always been the guy. I mean, when he was in Tucson for the Roadrunners, I mean, the kid was a good goalie. Like everybody knew that he was a good goalie. It's just, being behind a good team like Vegas has in their forward group and as well as their decor is just very solid, like you were saying. Excuse me, even with White Cloud. It makes his life a lot easier on that back end to be able to just kind of sit in and relax, and he's just playing, like we talked about a little bit on the last episode. He's just playing his game. He's been a good goalie all year. He's been a good goalie throughout his career, and this does come as a little bit of a surprise. And this is kind of the discussion we had last time, but this is it's just one of those things. Like, you know, he hasn't had the amount of time in the NHL that Bobrovsky has to get the kind of contract that Bobrovsky has.
No,
And not saying that he's as good of a goalie or will ever be as good of a goalie as a two-time Vezina winning Bobrovsky, but Bobrovsky's also had a couple seasons in Florida that he's been absolute shit,
yeah,
right? So it's just one of these matchups where Aiden Hill's coming in. He's the hot hand. I think it's it'd be a little reckless for us to say that he's not the hot hand just because he's a little bit lesser of a name, but I think
but
I
Bob's
think if you
hot. He's so hot.
he's so hot right now. I mean, you look at
Bob's so hot right now.
so hot right now, Hansel.
Yeah,
So I think if you're looking at that matchup, you cannot look at the resume, right? You can't look at Aiden Hill's resume, even though it's still good. I mean, he's not as old as Bobrovsky. He hasn't been around the league as long as Bobrovsky. But both goalies are super hot right now.
yep.
So that matchup is very close, even though you have kind of I mean, in the broad scheme of things, like people in Toronto who only focus on the Toronto Maple Leafs don't know who Aiden Hill is and never have known who Aiden Hill is.
Yeah.
But people who are kind of, in our realm of things know who this kid is, right? And he kind of has that. I like to refer to goalies a little bit as like underground rap art, hip hop guys, right? He's kind of that underground, right? He's been
Yeah.
doing performing and shit like that, and just he just hasn't hit the
He's been
mainstream
making
yet.
a name for himself.
That's right. That's right. Damn it.
Remember
Rap
the
battles
name.
and shit.
That's right. That's
Mhm.
right. No, so a question for you is that Bob, up until this point, you hit it right on the head. Bob, up to this point, has been a disappointment. He has not lived up to his. I don't think there's any argument. Up
Yeah,
until this point, he has not lived up to his $10 million contract.
exactly.
If he wins the cup, does he? Do you look back now and say, "Oh shit, that was the best $10 million we ever fucking spent"?
Yeah, 100% because he won a cup.
Yeah, there it is. That's
Yeah,
and that
that's
is hockey logic 101. He could have 9 bad years,
sure,
but if he
sure,
wins one of them with the cup, fuck, it was worth every penny.
sure as shit was, man. I mean, but in
And it
in
was a
2 years,
brilliant galaxy brain move.
yeah, and in 2 years when the Panthers have made a bunch of shitty GM moves and they're in the absolute you know cellar of the fucking NHL, then it'll be a bad move again, right? But
Mhm.
in the moment, it's a great move because there's a fucking cup in the case, man.
Yep.
You know, but
Boy.
yeah, it's tough. I think they're just very well matched. They really are. I think Florida's a little more top heavy up top, which is crazy to say with Jack Eichel
Very
and
strange.
Wild Bill
But Bruce
and fucking.
Cassidy is really balancing out those lines. Like
He's such a good coach, dude.
everybody else has tried to keep that misfit line together.
Yeah,
He's spreading the talent around.
good
Like
for
he's got,
him.
it
And we
and
talked about that though.
like fucking I think it was on another podcast talking about like we're talking about William Carlson third line like checking line center right now. And he's playing great.
Yeah, it's
He's playing
crazy.
absolutely great. Um I think Eichel didn't even score a goal in this last series, but he's playing great too.
Yeah,
Like everybody is doing what they need to do. Uh fuck man. This can be a good cup final.
it is.
This can be a
It
good cup
really
final.
is.
As much as I'm predicting, maybe I've talked myself out of now an early exit because I did start off by saying that I think Vegas is Boston light in how
Mhm.
they're designed and how they're coached and how they move around a little bit. So yeah, maybe I've talked myself out of that. I think shit. I'm gonna agree with you again.
Quit it.
God, you look at it. Barbashev's playing out of his mind right now. Eichel's playing good hockey. Marchessault is great. You got guys that are stepping up that you would normally be like, oh well, Brett Howden. Who the fuck's Brett Howden? Brett Howden is playing solid hockey right now.
This is
Uh,
such a Bruce Cassidy
yes, 100%.
showing how good he is as a fucking coach
Yep.
lineup right here.
Yes, this is talent spread around all over the place. Like,
You're getting the most out of you know realistically, right? Riley Smith, William Carlson, Mark Stone, Jack Eichel, and Marchessault are the only guys people fucking really know,
yep,
right? And he's spread those guys out through 3 lines. It's crazy, dude.
it's nuts,
It's
and it's working,
crazy.
and it's working. You've got Nick, and you know what? Nick Waugh is an underrated name in this
He
league.
is, and I
He
think Keegan
really
Colasar has
is.
played pretty good too. So yeah, but that's the thing is a good coach is going to draw that out of
Mhm.
not necessarily even his line combinations. He's going to look Nick Waugh in the face and just be like, "Here's what you need to do every shift because
Yep,
this is the best part of your game.
yep,
Right? Go do it." And
yep.
Nick Waugh's like, "Fuck yeah, dude! I'm gonna go. This is why I'm here." Right? And Bruce Cassidy was clearly not the problem in Boston. Right? I
No,
know
I
they
don't.
had a crazy good year, but Bruce, Cassidy being first year with Vegas and them in the cup final, it just guy knows what he's doing, man.
Yeah, no, I think your problem in Boston. Well, that's a tangent we can go on another
Yeah.
day. That's an off
Problem in
season one.
Boston. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
that's
tough one.
that's that's a tangent that we can go off on another day. We already still need to get to Toronto.
Sure.
Um, so I think to wrap this up, I think the matchups like goalie to goalie at the moment, I'd say it's almost even. Like I'll give a slight nod to Bobrovsky here, just
Mhm.
because of the consistency. But Hayden Hill's been playing solid hockey. Like
Yeah,
there's no
that's
reason to count him out on this, and it's not by much that I give the win to there.
mhm,
For defense, fuck. Again, paper Vegas should have the advantage on this,
mhm,
but I'm going to make it a wash because that's how Florida defense has been playing. Like is is the depth of the Vegas D better than Florida? Yes. But has Brandon Montour been playing better than any of the Vegas D men? Also, yes.
mhm.
Like he is the best D men of the group, but I think that Vegas has the more deep D, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think I think if you get as deep as Josh Mahura on Florida, I think it evens out with Brandon Montour being the better of the
Mhm.
12D involved.
Yep.
So yeah, I think the D pairing is a wash as well
Okay.
for me. So
Sounds good. And then offense, fuck man, we could spend an hour dissecting this and going through the matchups and talking about how everything stacks up. Uh, I think there's no overthinking this. I think that Matt Kachuk is going to be there and make Jack Eichel's life a living hell.
mhm,
He's going to try to get in his head. He's trying to get around him, and he's going to take advantage of his weaknesses, which Eichel does have weaknesses. He does. Like I mean, it's his strengths usually outweigh his weaknesses, but he does have defensive weaknesses. And
mhm,
if Kachuk specializes in anything, it's finding someone's weakness and taking advantage of it. And I think that that first line matchup between Vegas's first line and Florida's first line, I think Florida is happy with that.
mhm. Yeah, I think you start going through the lineup. I think on paper, technically, I think technically Florida. You know, you get into Duclair, you get into Barkov, you
I
get
do love
into
Duclair. I do love
Duclair's
Barkov.
been a stud.
Yep.
Kachuk, Bennett, right? I mean, you start Reinhardt. I always forget about Reinhardt, but Reinhardt is still a great fucking player over there.
Yep.
I think I want to give Florida a slight edge, and it's just
Okay.
because
Okay.
I think it's just because of some of the names that I just said, right? And Nick Cousins is playing good hockey.
You made a good point that they're top heavy. I think I love that
Yeah,
point in the sense
yeah.
that like that top two lines is better than but I will give depth to Vegas
Depth
by
depth
it.
is
But
probably Vegas.
and
Yeah,
we're talking a matter of degrees here. Like this is
sure,
not like
sure.
a clear win by any means. Like I'm going to give Florida the better, the star power, top two
Hmm.
lines kind of thing, but by a little bit. And Vegas has got the depth by a little bit.
Yep, yep.
So this is going to be interesting. I know that we've kind of convinced ourselves here with this conversation that this is going to be a long, grueling, close series, but there is that part of me that's just like Florida's team of
Could be
destiny.
a
They're going to win.
blowout.
They're going to win this in 5. Like it's
Yeah. Well, we could. Yeah, I mean, we could say it's going to be a fucking sweep, and then all of a sudden it's 7
sure,
overtime games in a row, right? Like it's just,
sure.
it's
All
just
right.
it.
I
Yeah.
will. I will double down on. I'm going to say Florida in 5.
That's. Ooh, surprised by you.
I They just swept the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, it is pretty impressive.
That is, even if I picked, we did pick Florida, but we
Yeah,
picked 6 and 7.
right.
Like that would have been a close series, like down to the wire, and they just swept the Carolina Hurricanes.
Sure did. Sure
So
did. It's a good team.
I'm a believer. I'm a believer. As much as I like Vegas, like look, before the Seattle Kraken became a team, I was a Vegas fan. I
Yeah.
still am to a degree. Like I like the Vegas Golden Knights. I like that team. I like the ownership there, other than them kind of being dicks to their players. But and the fan base there, like I love non-traditional markets making hockey work, and Vegas is definitely qualifies as a non-traditional market. That place is fucking hot as hell. It's the middle of the desert, and we've got like, oh, hockey can't work in the desert. Well, it's doing it's alive and
Clearly, it
well.
is.
It's alive and well in Vegas, and that team is doing great, and that fan base is just fervent. I love that. I know that other fans hate that because they're like, oh fucking, you guys don't know suffering. And you know what? That is such a shitty. And this is a perfect transition into the fucking Maple Leafs because you're sitting here going like, oh, you guys don't know suffering because you guys have had success and we haven't fucking won a playoff round in 20 years and haven't won the cup in 50. isn't that more of a reflection on your team? Like, you've had 50 years to figure it out.
Dude. Uh, yeah. I
Toronto
had
was when they won the cup in like the 60s, there was only like 15 teams.
Yeah, the odds were much better back then.
So much better.
Oddly.
So much better. So like I'm sitting here going like I'm just not going there's very little sympathy from me regarding like yes, you can balance out the idea like sure, if you want I disagree with you, but if you have the argument of like oh well the expansion teams have better teams now. Fine. We can sit here and debate this topic. I'm open to that. But sitting here saying like, you know, over the course of 50 years, you're just insulting yourself. Like your
Mhm.
team has had poor management for X amount of years and still hasn't figured it out. When was the last time that Toronto was in the cup final?
That's that's a nasty trivia for a Toronto bar right now.
Oh God. And they don't even and they probably I'm gonna tell you, they probably don't want to answer it.
They probably don't know
In
because
fact,
it's been so damn long.
if I asked it in sincerity, I'd be like, I'd lean across. We, you and me, go into a Leafs bar. First off, bad idea, but we'd probably been drinking at
Yeah,
that point.
that's a rookie mistake.
We go into a Leafs bar, and I go, hey man, I like genuinely curiosity. If I go, hey man, when was the last time the Leafs made the Cup final? I'd probably get punched because they would think that I'm insulting them because the answer is probably like a year when the Nixon administration was in.
What
You know, like
what were those years?
like before the last time they were in the cup final was before internet.
Perfect. I have it pulled up. You ready for this?
Yes, hit me with it.
1967, folks.
Holy shit. So yes, before the invention of the internet, the Leafs
Beautiful.
made the cup final.
That is absolutely beautiful.
Holy shit. That's so terrible. So look, you can get mad all you want and be jealous. That's fine. You can be jealous of what Vegas has got and even what Seattle's got. Look,
Mhm.
Seattle can sit here right now and brag to those teams that we've got more second round playoff wins than the Leafs in 20 years. It's just a fact. You can sit here and be angry about you can get angry at the other teams, or you can look at your management and go like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Well, how can you look at year one of both Vegas and the Kraken and go, on
Oh,
paper, this
this is a
team
cup winner.
should be good, right? Like,
Yep.
you've had 67. I don't even fucking I can't even comprehend how fucking long ago that is.
67.
That's nuts, dude.
Like
Like,
that's you realize that's the beginning. That's like the Vietnam War is just kicking up.
that's almost before my parents were born. And
Mhm.
I'm old as fuck now. That's crazy. I think my parents were born in 62 and 63.
Okay.
So like, good God. Like that's
Yeah.
forever
Yeah.
ago, dude.
Yeah. It was quite a while ago. My dad was like
Holy
13, 12.
shit.
So yeah, it's
Was there
that's
still
more of
redcoats in America?
you can get angry at the new teams all you want, but at the fact of the matter is you've had ample opportunity
Oh
to
god,
put
yeah.
a winning team together, and I think it's more of a self-reflection. Like, don't get angry at the Seattle Kraken or the Vegas Golden
No.
Knights or any of these other like you can't the Florida's in the Cup final right now. They went through the rough expansion where we all knew that they were going to be bad.
Right. So did the Ducks who have won since then. So did
Correct.
Carolina when they won
Correct.
theirs. Like, come on, dude. It's just and you know what? Take a little bit of responsibility yourself. You
Exactly.
guys put way too much fucking pressure on this team. You're literally throwing jerseys on the ice, burning fucking jerseys. Like literally every bar that if we were to go to a Toronto bar and say the word Dubas or Marner, we're getting punched in the face,
Scott
right?
Ayers.
Yeah, it's
Scott
crazy.
Ayers is my hero.
It's crazy. I mean, you're putting an unfair and I'm not trying to hate on their fans, but like you can't
Oh, I am.
there's I mean, sure, but
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. You can't it's just so hypocritical, man.
So we've been
It's
dancing
crazy.
around the news. Let's segue out. We've
Sure.
made our cup final predictions. As much as let me end that by saying I'm happy with either team. I've mentioned numerous times on this podcast that I love when non-traditional markets win because it spreads the game, and a cup in either one of those places is going to grow those fan bases and cement them for years to come. Like, because we've always sat here, yes, while the management situation in Florida is fine, they're not losing money, they don't care if they're not filling it out every night. Florida's always been the butt end of jokes because they just never fill that arena. This will help with that.
Well, 100%.
This will help with that and actually establish a fan base and create a legacy going forward and make sure that Florida's already a big state for hockey because of Tampa, but now we've got two teams there, and they're not just like the little brother of Tampa. So definitely, I absolutely love that. And Vegas isn't out of it shows that expansion teams are not just trash. They're doing all right. And guess what? They made a big move too.
Who?
Jack Eichel. I know that wasn't this year, but what I'm saying is like there are so many teams that play it safe. Like they're not willing. Like we're going to get into the Toronto Maple Leafs here in a second and talk about what Brad True-Living should do as the new GM. But do you think they actually have the balls to make a Kachuk style trade? I understand the situation is not 1-to-1, but let's be honest here. What they should do and what they're going to do are two very different things. What they're going to do, they're going to re-sign Matthews. They're going to re-sign Marner. They're going to re-sign Nylander. None of those guys are going anywhere. They're going to try to roll the dice over and over and over and hoping for a different result. They're not going to have the balls to do it. Whereas teams that do have the balls, sometimes it doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. Jack Eichel is now in the Stanley. This is his first year that he's in the Stanley Cup playoffs, not Stanley Cup final. This is the first year that Jack Eichel has made the playoffs.
Right.
And he's now in the Stanley Cup final. After a blockbuster trade that a lot of people didn't like for Vegas. They thought they gave up way too much for it. Put themselves up against the cap wall, made it inflexible to change anything. It was a make or break moment kind of thing. They went all out, and now it's happening. And same with Florida.
Yeah.
Same with Florida. These teams rolled the dice. They went out and got the players that they thought they needed, and they made the big moves. They made the hard choices that could be controversial. I just don't think Toronto has the balls to do that. They should. I firmly believe, even as a Maple Leafs hater, and it's more based on their fans, not their players, they need to shake up this team. They need a Matthew Tkachuk style trade where you trade a star for a star. Just fresh blood.
Yeah.
Would you so ballpark, I'm going to throw a hypothetical at you. Say Toronto wanted Keller. Which of the four in the core four that they call them in Toronto, would you send to Arizona to get Keller?
None of them.
Okay.
My reason,
just not make the trade?
Yeah, my reason being is you're basically trading Mitch Marner for Keller, right? I mean,
that's my point. That's my point.
Yeah, they're the same player, so you're basically just replacing what you already have with the shiny new toy.
It's fresh blood. That's what I'm trying to get at. I'm not trying to say that they're trying to change the makeup of the team. I'm trying to say that you need to shake this core up without removing a level of talent. Maybe you're changing up the style of play.
Yeah.
A little bit. You're not. But what I'm saying is like if you swap Marner for Keller, you're changing the dynamic of this team. You're shaking things up. You're trying something new, and you're moving forward. Because this core, look, maybe some people are patient, but I'm already convinced this core doesn't have what it takes. Matthews and Marner dry up in the playoffs. Tavares is only getting older, and Nylander played well.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I mean, you're never. It's going to be very difficult to emulate a Tkachuk for Huberdeau and Weaver trade, but that's more what Toronto needs to do. I
Yes.
understand shaking up, basically bringing in a little bit of new blood. But if three of the four are still there, what is Keller going to come in and do? Keller is going to come in and just fill whatever quiet
Okay, that's fair.
person of a spot that Marner was playing in the
So
locker room.
so you've got these four guys. Let's make it even five. Let's throw Riley in there just for shits and giggles.
Okay.
These five guys are on the block. You can trade all of them or none of them, or one of them. One
Okay.
or all five. Who do you go after? Because it's got to be a comparable situation where it's a star player on another team that maybe isn't reaching their potential, isn't necessarily doing what they lived up to. Maybe they're just not happy on the team. The first name comes to mind, not necessarily from his perspective, but from the team's perspective, Panarin.
Yeah.
Maybe a Panarin type, a team that's maybe looking to get into a rebuild. Do the Ducks float a Troy Terry situation?
Here's my thing with Toronto. Here's my thing with Toronto.
Okay.
They know where they need to fill. They
Do they?
know. Well, fuck, I would hope
Because
so.
according to the 500 hockey men, the core is fine and they just need, six grinder guys that want to win it.
And what are you gonna mix them up? So what are you gonna do? Matthews, Marner, and Simmons?
Oh, with Brad True signed, I get again. This is different from what we think they should do and what they should do versus what's gonna happen is Matthews, Marner, Tavares, and Nylander will most likely retire as Leafs or quit the league, and they will try to mix and match pieces around those four to try to make the team happen. So
Mhm.
is Corey Perry a Toronto Maple Leaf next year? There's a high possibility.
Sure, could be.
Yeah, he goes there. You've got grizzled veterans that have been there and done it that maybe are popping up on the radar that they'll do. Yeah, I don't foresee them doing anything. It's not because Brad True Living has a history. He was on the losing end of the Matthew Tkachuk trade, which at the time we thought was a win for him. We
Yeah,
thought that was a huge win for him. It's not his fault that Daryl Sutter is a fucking wet
this
blanket.
prick. Well,
Yeah. So
yeah, I don't know. For me, I think just the way we haven't really seen Marner do much in the playoffs. So if
no,
you're able to get a team that's interested in taking, honestly, giving you a bunch of shit back because you're not going to be able to look at Marner's regular season
see,
numbers.
you can't do that though, because if you do a package bundle, like if you do Marner for 2 first-round picks, 3 prospects, and a young guy on your current roster, that signals a rebuild. Those
Well,
are not guys that you put onto your roster that are immediately going to contribute. Those are guys that planning, 2 to 6 years out.
yeah,
I'm talking the Toronto market's not going to be okay with that. They want a Matthew Tkachuk style trade, a star for a star, where it's just shaking things up. It's a new name, a new voice, that kind of situation.
yeah. I think so. I want to focus back in on the Ducks just for fun. We don't really get
Of
to talk
course,
about them
yeah.
too
It's
much.
all roads lead back to Anaheim. So
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm saying.
right.
So if you were to do a Marner trade into Anaheim, the thing that I'm looking for if I'm living now, right? Like
Mhm.
the thing I need something on the back end that makes sense. I can't just lean on Morgan Riley. I gotta have a little bit of help in that back end, but I gotta get something back in return as well that is solid on the front end, right? I mean, you can't just say, okay, goodbye, Marner, bring in fucking Derek Grant, right?
Sure.
So I think if you're doing that, I think a trade it kind of looks like, I think they obviously want Jamie Drysdale. It's going to be hard to convince them, and that's why the trade would never happen. It'd be hard to give them, convince the Ducks to give up Drysdale. Um, but I think something with Cam Fowler. I think you would see a Troy Terry. You'd see something, first round pick, stuff like that, right? So where you have guys that are going to come in on the back end and really help out immediately. Troy Terry on a good team, sticking with Austin Matthews, sure, he could probably put up pretty close to the points. I think, not saying that Zegras is a terrible centerman, but compared to an Austin Matthews, Troy Terry is going to have a beautiful season next to an Austin Matthews. But then you get a first round pick as well, right? So I think it's one of those things where you really have to, you're trying to weigh the level of what Marner brings, but also I don't even know if Troy Terry is the right guy, just because they need some grit. They really do. I know they jokingly throw that word around, but you can't just have Wayne Simmons and going back further, David Clarkson, going back further, fucking, the dome. It's just you can't have like just bottom level grit all the time. You got to have a little bit of that top stuff mixed in.
But
That
trade
just
partners only work when you've got Florida only worked out. The Florida Calgary situation is very unique.
mhm,
In the circumstances, they had to trade him, blah, 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 blah. In fact, Florida, from what I have heard on other shows, Florida wasn't even a front runner for Matthew Tkachuk. They kind of came out of nowhere. They weighed the market of what everybody was offering Calgary, and they offered their own package. Like, we want this guy. Like, here you
mhm,
go.
mhm.
So that's, if they've got somebody in mind like that, then I think they should go for it.
Sure,
But in the meantime, I just, something has to change. I just
it
don't
does.
believe that this team does not look. Are the Toronto Maple Leafs one A-plus goalie away from making a deeper run? Perhaps, maybe,
Maybe.
but I know that upgrading in goal is not a bad idea. But did they lose this series because of goaltending? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that the answer here is a shakeup. I think that in an optimal, perfect solution, you'd somehow find a way to unload Jonathan Tavares. That's probably not going to happen. So you're looking at you're looking at Matthews, you're looking at Marner, you're looking at Nylander. I said Riley earlier, but honestly, he's their only good defenseman.
Yeah,
That's
you
like,
can't move
yeah, you
Riley.
can't move him. So it's Nylander, Marner, and Matthews.
Yeah.
If it's me, I'm moving Marner or Matthews. Nylander is solid, and you can keep him on a decent deal.
And he has performed in the
And
playoffs.
he's performed. So if you're
Yeah.
moving one of those two guys, you've got to find somebody that's comparable to where your return is comparable. And unfortunately, the Toronto media wants immediate results. They
Mhm.
don't want another rebuild, because if you trade Matthews for, say you trade Matthews to Boston or Florida or Toronto, or not Toronto, Vegas, any of these contending teams, and you get a package deal back of prospects and first round picks and whatnot. Yeah, on paper and for futures, that's fantastic. But that's not going to help in the immediate term. And then it immediately signals a rebuild, and then everybody revolts.
Yeah. I, who needs a top line center. If you're actually considering Matthews, I think Carolina.
I agree.
I think Carolina needs something along those lines where
Well,
if
if they
you're
were
if you're
healthy,
if they were healthy, sure, but I think if you're truly like looking somewhere, I think and Matthews is the option. I think Carolina is an option. I think what's interesting about this whole situation is Toronto and its fan base just aren't going to be happy if there isn't an absolute fleecing and it goes
oh,
Toronto's
of
way,
course, of
right? And
course.
it's not going to happen like
No,
that.
it's not.
It's
The only
every
positive
other
I can report from this, after all this bullshitting about Toronto Maple Leafs, the positive that I can pull from this is they are fucked. They are screwed,
yeah.
and they are doomed. They have hit the high point. This is their high water mark of probably the next decade. They won a playoff round. They are now going to go back down. Like that was their highest water mark. They're not going to get better. Sorry, they'll make the playoffs next year, but they're not going to do anything.
Oof, that's bold.
I think they get bounced in the first round. next year.
Yeah, could be. Could be.
They got lucky that they played Tampa.
Yeah, tired Tampa, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tampa's actually on the list of like, do they make the playoffs next year? I think, in my opinion.
Ooh, I think they still do. I think they almost needed to get bounced in the first round in order to have a decent year next year.
We're starting to see the decline. We're starting to see
Yeah, sure.
what we're starting to see the Red Wings post 2008. Where they're trying to get one last kick at the can, but everybody's getting older. We're starting to see, they're entering what Pittsburgh is now.
Sure.
Where Pittsburgh is. So, by the way, we're at 2-hour mark. Is Dubas going to Pittsburgh?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
he's going to build a team around Crosby and Malkin and try to give them one more kick at the can.
Might as well. He's going to be on a 2-year contract just in case it totally blows up in his face. But
unreal. Okay, that's it. We had some other stuff we're gonna do, but we're at 2 hours, and unfortunately, it seems like we just can't stop hitting that mark.
I know.
Fine. All right, everybody. Thanks again for listening in or watching us on YouTube. We really appreciate it. Please like, comment, and share all of our stuff on social media. As you can see on here, we are on Twitter and we are on Facebook. So go on there and like and follow us on there. Our podcast in audio version is on all of the podcatchers. So Spotify, Pandora, Player FM, Apple Podcasts. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a nice review. We really appreciate that. And if you're on YouTube watching our just absolutely dashing, handsome faces, leave nice comments, say nice things, subscribe to our channel, and enjoy the show always. If you guys have it, and if you're interested in advertising and being featured on the show, we're more than happy to do that for you. We are always looking for advertisement opportunities, and we are looking to get your name out there. We absolutely love our advertisers right now. So that's just an absolute positive.
Hell yeah.
Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks again, and we will see ya. Yeah, we're not going to 2 weeks yet. We're going next week. We'll see you next week. All right. Bye, everyone.